It's working, yay. I just did a live stream in one of the private masterminds that I'm in for a program which is connected to my doTERRA team. It's beautiful collaboration that I have with EFT and my work as well for Star Academy. And I just shared this particular ritual in there, and I'm like, oh, because it's in a private group, I couldn't like stream it to like share it to another one. So I'm creating another little video, and what I wanted to share with you is this really powerful way to dive deep in releasing those things that perhaps you find are really strong and sticky, and these patterns or these imprints that you find yourself experiencing over and over again. It almost becomes like a little bit of a feedback loop, these particular themes, yeah? And if you've, you know, kind of been following my lack of communication in the last 2 months, really, you know that I've been going through a pretty huge catharsis and transition. So this is such an appropriate ceremony to be able to do on this particular dark moon, but I really wanted to share it with a bit of notice leading into the solstice, which is another really powerful time to enter into any type of releasing ceremony or ritual, yeah? So what I am doing tonight is, so I've done this other live stream demo video, I'm doing this one here, and then I'm going into my own private little ceremony and ritual. But last night I actually, last night or this morning, my goodness, I'm in a little bit of a like time warp. Actually, I think it was this morning I did it. Yeah, it was this morning. I cut my hair. And so, you know, that's not a huge amount for me. Like you can still see, I'm through a fair bit of hair there. Cutting your hair on the new moon is really beautiful to encourage new growth for fast growing. So if you really want to grow your hair long, cutting it on the new moon is best time to be able to do it. But with what I have been processing and this catharsis and these really deep and uncomfortable emotional processes and feelings and shadow work, I really felt called to hack a bit of my hair off. So it's just an intuitive hack. So it's about 15 centimeters at the length. I love how it feels at the top though, it's pretty cool. Most of the times when I go through really big catharsis, I'll actually get this compulsion to shave my head again. And then I quickly retreat. I'll have, you know, I normally would go short and just play and have a bit of a hack. I've done that a few times. But I'm really loving my long hair at the moment. But I knew that it was time to drop some story, let go of some story. So here's the thing about hair, and the reason why I am burning and releasing my hair this evening on this dark moon is because your hair acts as a spiritual antenna. Yeah, it is a way that we pick up and receive sensory information from the spiritual dimensions around us that's stored. Yeah, so when you go through big processes, you can have a look at your timeline in life, and maybe you've gone through a bit of a quantum leap, evolution, or you're moving through something or some really deep emotional pain. Most women that I know and connect with have this compulsion to change their appearance in some way, shape or form. And it can, you know, manifest in a way of retail therapy, going out and buying new things to change your appearance, you know, getting your eyebrows waxed, getting your hair cut, colored, you know, whatever it is for you. But hair cutting is a really significant key that there's some big transformations happening. And this is beyond the maintenance haircut, yeah? So, bridging on from that, your hair being an antenna, so it's connected to silica in a sense. So silica, the mineral that we have, is the foundations from communication. Yeah, it's like what clear quartz is made out of, is silica. It is what all microchips in communication, the ability for me to talk to you now, or for you to watch this on the replay, is all thanks to silica. Yeah, it's like our whole grid of communication and connection and information, stored information, is through silica. Yeah, and that's also then accessed and retrieved through vibrational sound as a form of medicine and healing, but I'm not going into that. So when we're speaking about hair, the wise men and women of a lot of indigenous communities wouldn't actually cut their hair as a way to connect with the thread of story from their life, their lessons, their learnings. Everything that they've gone through and integrated is stored in the hair. If you look at a lot of indigenous cultures, there was that length of hair. So when I went to Peru when I was 19, after a big heartbreak, and then just decided to go overseas on my own for the first time at the freak out of my mother. But I ended up in the Nazca Lines in Peru. And what was really beautiful there is they had this area of where they had open graves. And the fascinating thing was in these open graves, in the desert, in the Altiplano, there were these bodies. So there was children and, you know, common people, and then they had the medicine people. So usually a man, but it could be man or woman. And the considerable difference on these skeletons that were in these open pits, these open graves, which were all facing east towards the sun, was that the medicine person had these incredible dreadlocks of hair that they just didn't cut their hair. And I'm talking meters of like matted, natty, dreaded hair. So phenomenal, because I'm just like, whoa, that would be really heavy. Like, imagine when it gets wet, right? And it could be like really stinky and stuff. But that was like my 19-year-old maiden self just going, wow, like just totally blown away. And the reason being is because of these stories that are stored in the hair. So, you know, I could do a whole live stream just talking about that, but I'm not going to because I don't want to take up too much of your time. So that's why this had to go. This is all in relation to scarcity mentality, to sacrifice, to everything being so hard, to when's the breakthrough going to come, to financial security, to relationship growth and deepening into intimacy, and all of the fears and insecurities that have been bubbling up to the surface with this new pregnancy, just going, holy shit, like another baby on the way, and all of the stuff, right? All of the chatter. So that's what this chop represented. It's like, you know what? I'm ready to release that story. It's got to go. So whew, that's going. So a really awesome way to supercharge and amplify your releasing of these emotions, these beliefs, these imprints, these ancestral patterns that might be playing out, this inner narrative, this, you know, depression energy, anxiety, all of this stuff that keeps us disconnected from our inner power, is to use the element of fire. Yeah, now I'm a water sign, like a double water sign, Scorpio sun with a Pisces moon and Aquarius rising. So I got some pretty interesting, like watery, emotional, lucid responses. So working with fire kind of excites me and allows me to really move through things quite quickly. So if you are a water sign, you might relate to this. If you're a fire sign, you just say, yeah, this is my jam. If you're an air sign, you might be connecting with the embers and fanning the flames, and earth connecting with fire can sometimes be a little bit unsettling. You know, if you think of volcanic eruptions, which is happening around us at the moment, this energy of fire is coming through. So I felt really called to ceremony this evening on this dark moon, because what I've been going through, I haven't even checked into the astro story or the narrative at the moment because it's not my zone of genius. So I tap in when I feel called to and I share wisdom on it. I'm pretty sure the moon is in Gemini at the moment, but that's about all I know of it, right? So, salt bowl. What you're going to need is some salt, right? I like to use sea salt. You can use rock salt, you can use Epsom salt, you can use any type of salt. What the salt acts as is a binding medium to absorb your isopropyl alcohol, which is also called rubbing alcohol. So if you're in Australia, they don't call it rubbing alcohol here, unless I think maybe if you went to like a chemical company or something. I just went to Bunnings and got the isopropyl alcohol. This was like $8 for this, what is it, 125 mils. It is in the paint section, so with the thinners and the strippers and the methylated spirits and all that sort of stuff. So it's moved into cancer now. Thanks, Jess. Well, there you go. This kind of emotional. I have, my eldest daughter is cancer, so I'm very fluent in Cancerian ways of, you know, the strong protective shell, but really vulnerable underneath, but really beautiful and nurturing and caring. So that works well. So this is going to be your burning agent. This is highly flammable, and it's going to be marinated with the salt. So, because otherwise if you just put it in, it's going to evaporate really quickly. You're not going to be able to get that ceremonial context to it. So you have the salt. So let's just talk about the salt quickly. The reason why I prefer to use sea salt, because if you look these rituals up there, you'll find a lot of them use Epsom salt, and they'll actually use the Epsom salts in a bath later on. But I use sea salt, one, because the ocean is the largest body of water on the planet. There's only one ocean, right? We're also water beings. So water beings in the sense that our biggest constitution is water. So on a shadow perspective, though, connecting with Jungian psychology is that through the dreaming plane, through the language and landscape of symbol, the ocean represents the subconscious. So this is really important because we're doing subconscious work here. We're bringing up these emotional imprints and stories which are anchored in the subconscious. And so that's why I really love to use the sea salt from a symbolic perspective, also to connect with the energetics of the earth and the ocean and all the sensory information that is absorbing, like it's pretty beautiful. Also, you could go a step further if you really connect with the moon and the tides as well, it influences the ocean. So salts on a esoteric level, on a metaphysical level, helps to cleanse, release, and dispel negative entities and auric energy. So it's a really powerful medium to use. So if you've ever, feel a bit of a weird presence, if you ever feel like you're being watched, you can, create a little salt bowl with water and flick that around your space and use some sound as well. So salt, right? You will need a vessel that is heat proof to be able to contain your fire. So I like to use my metal Tibetan singing bowl. And the reason being is because I like to incorporate sound, that vibrational resonant sound, to help dissipate the energetic space of what I'm connecting with and what I'm releasing as well. You can use a Pyrex dish. You could use a large Pyrex bowl. You could use any type of ceramic stoneware. Stoneware is the level of heat. I don't think the earthware that would probably crack, but stoneware is usually what you'd bake your oven stuff in. It's like the porcelain, all that sort of stuff that can take the higher heat, or just a normal ceramic dish that you would put in the oven. So if you are using metal, right, because it is going to get hot really quick, more so than the ceramic would absorb a bit of the heat, but I love to use the metal, right? The cool part about the metal bowl is it's forged with fire too, so it really amplifies the fire energy. And also alchemical processes, but won't go into that. So for me, what I will do is I will have a support dish or something to float it in. And so I've just got a quiche dish, right? So it works. And I just sit that in the top there, and that way I can hold it like this. If this starts to get hot, like it gets hot, but not enough that it's going to scald your hand. But if it does get a little bit too much of the heat, depending on, you know, how long it burns for, I can hold it to the side and move around my space. If you are using the ceramics or the glass, please use oven mitts or, you know, something, float that bowl in something else that absorbs the heat so that you're safe. Yeah. So then I like to call in my essential oils. So the first thing I would do would be to cleanse the space that I am working in. And I've got my beautiful little spritzer bottle. This has On Guard and it has lemongrass in it. Just really beautiful cleansing energy of that energetic space. I've also got a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there and then water. So just kind of spritz that around before I start this work. Yeah. And that just kind of connects me into that ceremonial space. It helps to open up the sacred realms, to come into presence, to be prepared for ritual, for ceremony, which is all about presence and intention and setting. Yeah. So if you are working with your essential oils, what I shared in the other group is you need to call upon your big guns. You need some muscle, right? So I like your bodyguards of the plant spirit realm. So what I love to, I'll leave my favorite for last, but from the doTERRA range, we have clove, really powerful, protecting, frankincense, because frankincense is awesome. We love frankincense. It's a beautiful spiritual energy. It connects you with the Father, so it's that grounding, protective energy. Myrrh, like super, super powerful cleansing oil. It also connects you with Mother Earth as well. So it's, you know, kind of nice to have a mother-father combo there if you feel that you want to. Purify. Arbor Vitae, fantastic. Arbor Vitae is a very sacred tree oil. The really cool part about Arbor Vitae is that no pests like the tree because of this beautiful, powerful essential oil. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is a really powerful oil. So if you're working on any of discordant energy trapped in the womb, trapped in your sexual center, if there's shame or repressed emotion or tension or, you know, emotional pain or deep-seated anger, cinnamon can help you, you know, drive into that. This would be a really beautiful practice to connect, do your womb song practice first. For those of you that are, you know, connected with that and are doing womb song, do some womb song, then, you know, journal whatever comes through that you want to release and let go of, and then work with your oils in this salt bowl. Yeah. And did I say this? Black pepper. Black pepper is really powerful shadow oil. I did a video on this. You can look on my YouTube channel. I don't even know how long ago. It was definitely over 6 months ago, I'm pretty sure. Might have been a year ago. Far out. Really beautiful for shadow work. And I'm pretty sure I did a blend with that with lemon as well. So it's the oil of unmasking. And I mentioned previously in the other video that I draw the correlation of black pepper as a plant medicine connecting with the deva and the spirit of black pepper. It's beautiful, you know, vine, pepper vine. I liken it to the owl in the animal spirit realm. And the owl has that ability to see beyond the veil, see beyond the illusion. It helps to remove the mask, which is what black pepper does. So it's, you know, really powerful oil. And then my favorite, you're probably familiar with this. Maybe you didn't know that it comes in an essential oil, but that is Palo Santo. So Palo Santo is a tree, mainly grown in the Amazon. This one is from Ecuador. I purchased this from a company which sustainably sources. It's like ethical harvest. So whenever you are connecting with, you know, wanting to purchase your Palo Santo, make sure it's sustainable. Yeah, it's really, really important that that intention of wherever you gather your materials from enters into your ceremonial space. So you want to keep those energetic imprints clear. So this company is called Essentials of Australia. So scent is spelled S-C-E-N-T, like your scent. So Essentials of Australia. I'm pretty sure they were based in the Sunshine Coast. And this was pretty cheap. I'm pretty sure it was like, don't quote me, but I think it was around $40 I think I paid. And that's 35 mil. And that's ethically harvested as well. So when you're working with your oils, you really want to be connecting with the devas, the plant spirits, the wisdom and the divine intelligence encoded in these plants. Every single plant on the earth has a function and a purpose. And the ones that we extract for medicinal uses have this intrinsic symbiotic connection to the human body. So from a vibrational and cellular perspective, that's why essential oils are so powerful, and how we work with them from the molecular and chemical constituents from it is they'll scan the body for where they need to go to help support and assist the body to do what it does when it's supported, which is heal itself. And it doesn't matter if you're working with your oils or if you want to use dried herbs. Yeah, you really want to be connecting with the plant spirit. If you don't feel like you're, energetically sensitive or intuitive on that realm, don't play into those stories. Just sit with what that plant means to you and to, connect with it in that way. Yeah. So in anything, in any ceremonial space, any ritual that you do, it is all about intention. Yeah, so you're connecting with the intention of why you're doing this, why you're calling upon the help from this divine wisdom and consciousness which has been encoded in these plants. You can go a step further and also connect with the land where they were grown. Yeah, because there's songs and stories and medicine anchored in the land. So once you've kind of got the oils that you intuitively connect with. Oh, yeah, right. Another one, which I remember I don't have, I've run out of, is Forgive oil. And I love Forgive oil. It is such a bloody powerful oil to work with. It will crack you, just bang. doTERRA definitely got that blend, just bang on. So Forgive would be a really powerful oil. So let's move on to the practicalities of this. I am not going into ceremonial space with you. This is purely for demonstration. I will be doing my ceremony after this, but that's private. It's, I don't record my intimate moments, as I'm sure you don't either. So you want to sprinkle some salt in. Now, here's the thing. If you've been journeying through something that's just been lingering and hanging around for a long time, maybe you need a little bit more salt than what I would be using, right? So I'm just going to do a little sprinkle just for the purpose of demonstration. That's about just over a tablespoon there, yeah? Then what you want to be using is your alcohol, your rubbing alcohol, or isopropyl alcohol. Pouring that in there. Now you don't want to have it's swimming, the salt's not to be sitting in a pool of alcohol. It needs to marinate or coat it enough so that it's moist, yeah, but not enough that you can see that full liquid forming in the bottom of your container. So just kind of, you swirl it around. All right, I'll show you in a second. So you can see that it's wet, the salt's still moving, but there's no pool in there, yeah? All right. So then what you would do, and the alcohol stinks, like, it just smells like those alcoholic hand wipes that you get, that just got that really strong kind of medical sterile smell. So then you would then add in your essential oils. Now your essential oils are not to coat the salts in any way. It's simply to amplify and to connect with the spiritual energy of what you want to call in. So if you want to work, if you are working with doTERRA essential oils, there is the Emotions and Essential Oil book, which is specific to doTERRA oils. You can look up the emotional energetic signature of those oils and then begin to work with the oils on that way. I always encourage people to work intuitively with your oils, and to do that, you know, just sit with your oils in front of you. It doesn't matter what brand you're using. Have them in front of you, close your eyes, take a deep breath, connect with whatever the intention is that you want to release and let go of, and that you're seeking support and guidance from that level. And then just place your hands over and tune into any subtle sensation that you might have. Maybe it's a little energetic prick in your fingertips. Maybe it's just that one. Maybe it's just a real weird magnetic pull or compulsion to stop. Like whatever you perceive is that oil for you, go with it, don't question it. Yeah, because sometimes our conscious analytical mind tries to rationalize things that on the spiritual dimension cannot be rationalized because they're really not logical. They don't fit into the physical parameters of this dimensional space because they're bigger and they're beyond that, right? So I would say I don't want you to waste your oils, so up to around 10 drops of oils. So I've got my Palo Santo, that's the one that I'm using. It's about, I was going for 6 drops, but I think I got 7 or 8 in there. Another thing too, this Palo Santo is really strong, and what I did earlier this evening is I set up some salts and I just let it marinate for a bit in the Palo Santo, and then I added the isopropyl alcohol, the rubbing alcohol later. But when it was marinating just in the salts and the Palo Santo, I actually put it in my room where I sleep on my bed, and I just let that aroma incubate my dreaming space to cleanse the bedroom, yeah? And it's really beautiful because now when I walk through the house, it just smells like this beautiful cleansing Palo Santo. It's not really thickly sweet, and it's just, yeah, it's enough that it's like, oh, so yummy. Anyway, what am I going to add into this one? I'm going to do some myrrh. Oh, sticky. I'm going to put 2 drops in. And you can see it's quite a thick. I'm going to put some frankincense and what am I going to do for this one? I'm going to do some purify in this one. Just 2 drops there. All right, so the oils are in there. What you would be doing then is connecting with the intention of your ceremony, what you're releasing and letting go of. If you want to incorporate, you know, the very simple burning ceremony where you're writing down the statements that you want to let go and release, you would incorporate them in here as well. Or if you are going to be shedding hair or any other type of offering to the fire to be released, you can do that. You can add that in here. Obviously, if you're, you know, going to be using like articles of clothing or photographs or, you know, things like that, you might need a bigger container than a small little bowl, right? So you're connecting with your intention, calling in the support that you've got, so the plant spirits. You also want to be connecting with your guides, so with any of your spiritual deities, devas, that help to guide you. So whatever language you work with, whether it's archangels, whether it's ascended masters, whether it's the gods or goddesses, any type of mythological archetypal energy, yeah? Maybe it's coming through your ancestral lineage. Whatever you feel that you need to call into this space, you call them in, making sure that they are in complete alignment with your divine love, light, and truth, and that they are here present to hold this space, this sacred container, for your highest and best, most beautiful truth, you know, to have your best interests at heart. You want to call them in on all dimensional planes. Now, this is really important, and where this ceremony just goes to a next level beyond your simple paper burning one is because here's the thing about healing. Healing works on an interdimensional level. It's not just a physical thing. in our body. Yeah, yes, we have physical ailments. The pain body has physical manifestations. A lot of the time they're from emotional blocked energy in the body, unresolved tension, that then the body has this experience of visceral pain to draw your attention to it so that you can work on it and heal it. But there's also roots and connection points that are in the spiritual, the metaphysical, etheric realms, ancestral imprints which cross timelines. And it's really important that, like, when you're working on this deep healing level, when you've got some really powerful stuff that you want to let go of, that you're kind of bringing them all together. It's like you're kind of collapsing dimensional spaces and kind of doing that epic reset. I hope you're following me on this one. So you really want to be calling in this support and also that intention on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and etheric dimensions. And then there's higher dimensional planes as well. If you're, familiar with the universal laws or the laws of the land, you can be calling in that as well. So, that goes into the dreaming and beyond. So, but from a very fundamental perspective, just working with those 5 will help. Yeah. So physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and etheric or auric as well. So I mentioned in the last video, and this is a really important point that I want to make, which creates that correlation, is why you want to connect with that spiritual dimension, particularly when we're working with patterns of thoughts or imprinted beliefs that perhaps you are playing out that have been, in your lineage. This is like an ancestral timeline of this story that you're playing out in your reality unconsciously, because it's really not your story, but yet you find particular patterns and ways of thinking, even though your external reality doesn't really relate. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, when, you could have even like symptoms of complex post-traumatic stress, or even post-traumatic stress, is that you'll have that anxiety, this flush in the body and stuff of sensory information that's saying, oh, it's not okay, something's wrong, but yet everything around you seems all right. Yeah, if you've ever felt that, then we work on this bigger level. And it goes to the essence of the biosphere, the spiritual energy, the divine intelligence that creates energy, that creates us, that allows us to be in this space. It is what keeps DNA alive when the physical body has decomposed and has long gone. It's how scientists can extract the DNA and the RNA and find the genetic coding of what life was like for the people that, they're obviously doing those tests on. They can find that that signature, that biological signature through DNA. But it's like, what keeps DNA alive if these bones have been in the earth for thousands of years? This works on that level, yeah? And that's what we really want to be working with, is that energetic space, which, from a dimensional perspective, and for a lot of people it makes no sense. It gets a little bit woo-woo, a little bit too like, woo, crazy, trippy, hippie. But for those of you that connect with it, where it resonates with you, this is why you need to work on those levels, as well as the physical body and the emotional body, and work with your mindset as well. And a lot of the time with modern healing, it doesn't create those links. It's either, focused on one area or the other. And we really need to bring them together into cohesion, because we are whole beings, that we're multi-dimensional beings, and we're not just limited to our physicality. So that's why this is really powerful, yeah? It's got some... Yeah, I was actually thinking of you, Jess, with your ceremony last night. I'm like, oh, I've totally got to do this live stream for Jess, because she'll just be like, yeah. So this one's for you, babe. So oils are in there, the alcohol is in there, the salt is in there. Then if you're going to do womb song and bring up some stuff, and you're having some insight of this stuff that you've been holding on to, or, if you do that circle of stones meditation and you're connecting with these ancestral imprints and these stories, or, you know, these mother father wounds or things that are playing out, perhaps you're playing out a relationship dynamic that you've witnessed in your parents or your grandparents, and you're playing it out in your relationships, but it really doesn't need to be that way because you're each triggering each other's sacred wounding, like all this stuff, yeah? If you found yourself really stuck in scarcity, in not being good enough, in self-loathing, in a deep depression energy, in constantly feeling anxious, like this tight constrictive energy here, because you know that life can be easier, that you can connect with joy and peace and beauty, and you know, your body knows that the current state of constriction is not your natural state of being, but yet it can become so consuming, yeah, when the chest gets really tight and you feel like you can't speak your truth because there's all these knots in here. We really want to be able to release that and connect with whatever the stories are. So if you go into that subconscious writing space, just write for the sake of writing, bring it all up. Connect with the deeply embedded victim consciousness that might be playing out, or the martyr complex, which, you know, I mentioned in my last blog post, which I'd identified in myself. It's like, fuck. Bring it all up, you know, like into that, like, oh, how deep can you go? Because the easier that you connect with that emotion and you feel like you're animating it, you're really not. It's actually what is playing out in the background. And when you draw your attention to it, and if it's easy for you to play into a bit, then that's what's actually running the show. And this is going to allow you to connect with that and to release it and to trust the process of cleansing and releasing. So I'm waffling now. Got that in. You can also use dried herbs. In the last video I did, I used some organic rose petals. And the reason why I put the rose petals in the last one, I won't do it in this one, is because rose is a really high vibrational medicine to be able to use. You can use the essential oil if you wanted to. I just wanted to bring in that dry component of the plant world, so the raw plant material as well, and to bring in that energetics of rose, which also connects with the sacred realms. Rose has been used in many sacred ceremonies throughout different cultures, throughout different timelines, and it is also a really powerful plant medicine and spirit and deva to connect with the heart, divine love, with the sacred feminine. Yeah, you think of the blossoming rose, it connects with the yoni and the womb too. So, you know, really, really beautiful plant to be working with. Okay, so once you've connected with your guides, you've set your ceremonial space, set protection space, you're calling in this work to operate on all those dimensional levels, and you know you're going for it. You offer your prayers and your presence, making sure all the while that everything is for your highest good and for the good of all, that it is connected with your divine love, light, and truth. Yeah, and everything that you stand for. And that's when you would then begin to light your salt bowl. So you can use a, you know, them barbecue lighters that have the length on them about that big. I don't have one of them. So I have an incense stick. I have a lit candle here. So you could light this when you enter into your ceremonial space, and you just dip it a bit in the wax so that it stays alight. And then when you're ready and when you're feeling called to, you light the bulb. Yeah? And what's really cool about this is I can walk around my space and really cleanse my home. And that's the thing, if you have been in a catharsis like I have been in, which seems to be this collective, like it's been happening for a while, you need to cleanse your physical space, because when you're releasing, when you've got that emotional purge, when you've got this, the tears, when the waters are flowing, when the anger's coming through, the rage, the frustration, the disconnect, you know, that depressive, suppressive energy that you might be living in, you really need to cleanse your physical space. And that's where this is really powerful. It also, if you're working with it with intention, can then help to release and dispel any negative or entities or energies which you may have opened into. You know, I spoke about this in, well, I don't even know if it was a blog or a live stream, with respects to, oh, it nearly got in my eye, that, and using any type of recreational drugs or alcohol open us up to those dimensions. And if we're not mindful and we're not using it ceremoniously with intent and ritual, we give permission subconsciously for otherworldly energies to come into our physical being, into our home, into our temple. So this is where we use the salt bowl to clear the temple, yeah? You can offer your prayers, your medicine songs, your womb song to cleanse the space. If you've got bells and drums, you know, use your crystals, all of your energetic medicine, shamanic tools to cleanse that space. And especially over your bed, your bedroom, your dreaming space is really important. And also your sacred space as well. So where your altar is, you really want to be doing. And you can also connect with your auric field. So this is like next level smudging, right? So it's like more amplified than using a smudge stick or using or burning the Palo Santo, right? It's just going to supercharge and cleanse that space and to make it really beautiful and clear. If you are a woman that's a facilitator that facilitates ceremonies, gatherings, yeah, it's really important to cleanse your space afterwards, particularly if it's in your own home. I learnt this from trial and error when I used to do women's circles inside my house until I converted the womb temple, that sometimes the energy would be really sticky for, 3 to 5 days. I would feel it in my house because I was an apprentice on that level. I was just like fumbling my way through the dark. So this is a really powerful way to be able to cleanse and release. If you're going to be burning hair, do it outside, and I would be walking away because that's going to get super stinky, as you can imagine. Yeah. The really beautiful thing too, if you're working with yoni eggs as well, I'm obviously not working with these being pregnant, but you can have these in your space. Yeah, so you're really cleansing that energy, particularly if you're working with obsidian. I know most of you that do use the yoni eggs will have your jade or your rose quartz. I love my obsidian egg because I like to go gung-ho in cleansing and releasing in really powerful ways. But yeah, it's really beautiful to have your shamanic tools in your ceremonial space when you're doing this releasing ceremony as well. So just to recap, isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol, I do not know what percentage alcohol this is. Today, because I got a new bottle today, I rang up the local chemist to see if they had rubbing alcohol, and the guy there said that they had a brand called Isocol, which is like a rubbing alcohol, but it's an antiseptic base, and he said it was 64%. And I was like, oh, I just don't know if it's going to be strong enough in the sense that it would burn for a while. So I'm sure that it, would probably work. You can also buy it on eBay. Saw it on eBay as well. But as I mentioned, I got this from Bunnings in the paint section. It was about $8 for the bottle. You need your salt that you're working with. So whether it's rock salt, sea salt, Epsom salt, Himalayan rock salt, and any of your plant medicines, so your essential oils or your dried herbs or your flower offerings, anything that you want to contribute to that fire to alchemize the energy of that. You can use your hair or any other sacred objects that you really need to transmute the energy quickly and rapidly as well. So connecting with your intentions, offering your prayers, intoning it with your breath, offering your song. Yeah, offering your song. When you go into this ceremony, it's really beautiful to connect with your voice, connect with your truth. Yeah, it's like this whole reality is a divine song when you understand the fundamentals of First Nations people and their teachings. That's the power of manifestation, and alignment is dreaming into being, and the song is one of the first points of creation energy, and that's why it's so powerful. That's why music speaks to people beyond any language. It is a language of the heart. It is a language of creation. Yeah. So, okay, that's good to know, Amelia. I didn't know that Isocol had soap and stuff in it as the reason why I didn't go and buy it. Yeah, just making sure that it's pure alcohol. You don't want any of the other stuff in it. So I hope that resonates with you. I know it can be a lot to take in. I know that I can speak really fast when I'm in that inspired state. I am really looking forward to dropping in deep. So I'm getting out my drum tonight and my temple bell, the dragon energy, which is again connecting with fire, and going deep, because I really feel like this story that's been playing out for a long time stops with me. And that the reason why you're called to do the work that you do and why you keep showing up for yourself is because you feel that calling, that these stories stop with you, that there is no need for them to continue. And even though it's hard and that, you know, things can be a bit of a struggle, remember to connect with how strong and powerful and beautiful you are, and to thank yourself and to be proud of your service to the greater good of everyone. And you know, this work, this deep shadow work and embodiment practices is pretty full on. It doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to be consuming. We can connect with the deep emotion of it and feel it deeply, but we can also be so thankful for the gift and the medicine in it, because we're alive and we have the ability to feel so deeply. Yeah, so it's really important with cultivating that emotional resiliency is to connect with your power of creation and to know that you're in control, that you get to create your reality, that you get to create that sacred space, which is vital for your growth, for your personal development, for your exploration into all the beautiful, wonderful, magical ways of being that you are. Yeah. So anyway, so much love. Many blessings to you. You are so welcome for the demo. And with anything, trust your intuition. Yeah, if something that I've said doesn't resonate with you, totally cool. You can pick and choose what works for you. And if something maybe triggers you a little bit to go, oh, it's a bit not sure about that, research it, you know. Don't take what I say as the be-all and end-all. I'm coming from my own experiences and my beliefs and my perspective and you know, the downloads that have come through me, and I share from that space of just connection and to provide different ways of being. It doesn't mean that it has to be your way either. And I really like to clarify that. Because there are so many people in the world that are like, no, it needs to be this way and this way only, and you must do this, and totally not into that at all. So I trust you. I trust your magic. I trust your intention. I trust that you know that you have the ability to heal yourself, to connect with yourself, to let go of the stories, and to, you know, go into these deep releasing rituals. And to rebirth yourself from catharsis, where you come out stronger and brighter and more courageous than ever before. I love you all. See ya.